I think for this specific negotiation should be based on real instruction by two presidents. President Xi highly emphasized the relation with the United States. President Xi always emphasized based on three principles: mutual respect, coexist, and win-win situation to develop a healthy, stable, and sustainable relationship with the United States. That's China's policy. That's President Xi gave clear instruction to all level of Chinese staffs. That's based on that. I was before to deal with U.S. in economic. We fully respect the U.S. We fully follow the instruction by President Xi Jinping. We do everything, maintain the healthy, stable, and sustainable relation with the U.S. But this time, again, we must take action, retaliate, because that's, we don't want the whole world return to the jungle of jungle law.
So just to be clear, right now, the two sides are not on speaking terms. Officials on two sides are not discussing possible solutions to the trade war. Is that correct?
That's subject to how do you define that. If that's U.S. want China totally accept the U.S. proposal, to accept U.S. conditionality, I think that's no negotiation. And must be under the mutual respect and with this joint win-win situation.
What does mutual respect look like? Would the U.S. have to reduce the tariffs to 85%, 60% to bring President Xi Jinping to negotiations?
I know in U.S. team always think the President Trump is the top negotiators. Art of Deal, the book written by President Trump. And let's do business. Now it's country-to-country relations. We should exactly follow the rule of WTO to deal with bilateral trade dispute rather than to use just pressure. Since People's Republic of China founded, China never yield to outside pressure. So that's why I hope real negotiation for trade imbalance issue should be based on mutual respect, not just use as pressure and let the other side accept all conditionality raised by U.S. That's impossible.
Mr. Zhou, what's the impact of the tariffs on China's GDP? Currently, the target is around 5%. We've seen a lot of downgrades in terms of projections. How confident are you can achieve the target of around 5%?
We have full confidence to achieve the economic development goal this year, around 5%. This year is very important for China. This year is the last year of Chinese 14th five-year program. We have the 2035 perspective. That time build China into basically modernize the socialist country.
What will drive growth? What will get you to close to 5%? You take a look at exports. Yes, the number was very strong for March, but that was front-loading. You need consumption to drive growth going forward, and consumption is weak.
You are right. Chinese market is a super large market. We have 1.4 trillion people. We have more than 300 million middle class.
But 1.4 billion people are not spending to drive the economy.
But no, we have this fundamental change, and we encourage people spending and expansion domestic consumption. We have full confidence that domestic consumption will be increased, and with this productivity enhanced, with this technology development, particularly digital economy. Last year, our digital economy to the total capacity of economy is already more than 40 44.6% this year.
If you are expected to spend 10 trillion yuan, do you have the capacity to spend to boost consumption?
For central physical capacity, we have a large room, but we also, to be honest, we also should deal some challenge, local government debt issue. So that's why several months ago we took action, increase 14.3 trillion renminbi to deal with the local government debt issue. And that's, we do action already, and we hope such kind of result can strongly support Chinese economic development. And we also hope we continue to contribute to global growth. And since 2009 or 2010, from that year, Chinese every year contribute to new growth of global GDP is more than 30%. I think that's, we should do that, but the world should understand this. And in my personal view, and this demonstrates global cooperation become more important.
Mr. Chu, when you take a look at the markets, there's a lot of concern about China possibly selling off its holdings in treasuries. Has China done that? Would China do that? Has it ever considered dumping U.S. treasuries?
In my working experience, we have very close communication with staff of U.S. Treasury. I understand very well the U.S. Treasury careful very much about the yield and about price of U.S. government bond. And now, if that's 10 years, U.S. government bond is more than 4.5%. I think, frankly, that's big pressure for U.S. government spending, because last year, 2024, your U.S. government bond interest payment is 1.12 trillion U.S. dollar, and U.S. trade deficit is 1.2 trillion dollar. That's 2 more trillions. I understand that should take action to correct, but correct action not use the way of reciprocal tariff.
Would China consider dumping and selling U.S. treasuries to counter the trade war?
I can tell you, I used to be in the press conference said very clear that the Chinese investor, Chinese government as very responsible investors, we understand how important of global market stability. However, this is based on mutual understanding, mutual respect, and mutual cooperation. I really hope U.S. and China can, based on mutual respect, return to negotiation to solve the problem each side concerned.
I want to touch on the Chinese yuan. We've seen the daily fixes being weaker than anticipated by the market. Are we seeing the signs, the beginning of the signs, of a devaluation of the currency?
And the Chinese yuan and our renminbi policy is very clear. It's relatively stable. It's our real driven policy. And you can see recent weeks, even this big market turbulence, but renminbi yuan keep this relative stable. Even that's 7.3 up and down, and that's market fluctuation. But in general, we see the relative stable policy is our policy.
Some say 7.5.
7.5, 7.3, and that's a small fluctuation because we have the central level price, and People's Bank keeps us very careful to manage this band, and that's why we have full confidence. Even this big turbulence of international market, renminbi will keep relative stability, and China will contribute to the global market stability.